Should you or should you not shoot someone who's in your house? All right, Tom, so what should you consider if there's an intruder in your home as to whether or not you should shoot this intruder or not shoot this intruder? Now, here in Wisconsin, we have the castle doctrine, so we are, I hate to use the word protected, but it helps if there's an intruder in your home. But I've been reading more and more cases of, even in some castle doctrine states, that the homeowner shot the bad guy. Maybe the bad guy was trying to flee or some other extenuating circumstances. You always use the term rebuttable. What should make you think twice about shooting that home invader, even if you're protected by castle doctrine?
Yeah, so castle doctrine is not a license to kill. Just straight up. Let's just get that out there, okay? What castle doctrine basically does in virtually the best case scenario, because there's shades to castle doctrine, depending upon what state you're in, is that it creates a presumption that you are in reasonable fear of imminent death or great bodily harm, and therefore you can now take deadly force action. So I want you to imagine that you are asleep in your bed, it's 2 a.m., you wake up, there's a guy standing in your room who broke in, you don't know who he is, and do you have to wait for him to plunge a knife into your chest before you take...
Or even display a knife.
Right.
Yeah.
So in that precise moment, that is where castle doctrine can function to give you, the righteous, innocent homeowner, in essence, the benefit of the doubt that, yeah, you're in reasonable fear. I don't have to wait for that person to make a deadly threat. I don't have to wait for them to produce a weapon. I don't have to wait for some sort of imminence and ability to provoke or create a deadly threat against you, right? You don't have to wait for that. The presumption's on your side. But as you tipped off, anytime you hear the P word presumption, there's an R word that follows it, rebuttable. Rebuttable means that if the prosecutor has evidence to basically rebut that the presumption should not apply in your particular circumstance, then castle doctrine is not only likely off, but the same evidence used to rebut castle doctrine is going to be the same inculpatory evidence. I'm throwing out big legal words.
I know it. It's scaring me.
That's the fancy dollar word for basically saying evidence for why you're guilty of homicide or manslaughter or whatever it is that you're charged with. The same evidence to rebut castle doctrine will be the same evidence to put you behind bars, namely the same evidence showing this person wasn't a threat, this person was in the process of perhaps retreating, of surrendering, of doing whatever it is, right? So no, you cannot just start shooting because there's an intruder in your house. Never mind target identification issues of, oh, there's a shadow moving through the kitchen. Yeah. I'm just going to start lighting it up with the 12 gauge, right? Mm-hmm. What happens if that's your friend? What happens if that's your son? What happens if that's your daughter? Or what happens if that's your dog? Or whatever else the case may be, right? So there's target identification issues just right there, layered across the entire discussion of what we're talking about. But we're setting those to the side for a moment. And we're assuming that, no, this is a genuine, bona fide home invader. Can't just start pulling the trigger.
Yeah, and that's really the point with this question that I wanted to make to everyone who is watching, is that considerations about making that shoot, no shoot decision, that deadly force decision, they remain, even if you are in your own home and protected by castle doctrine. And the term we always use at the police academy and on the police force was preclusion, that shooting was the last thing you wanted to do. Was there something else that could end this situation without shooting? And I hear so many people talk about what they're going to do if someone breaks into their house, if they're inside. And we get letters at Concealed Carry Magazine and things like that. And I really need to stress that you still need to think about what you're going to do. It's not just automatic, pull out the gun and start launching rounds down the hallway.
Right. And look, I'm not saying that there are not times when you can start shooting. My point is that the preconditions need to be there. They need to be ripe. You need to have that window that someone's in my bedroom, they're genuinely a home invader. So we're setting aside target identification issues. Probably if you're in a castle doctrine state, and if that's like what you wake up to and you grab your nightstand gun or your shower gun if you're in the shower or something like that, there's a good chance that in that precise moment, you probably are going to be okay.
Mhm.
Probably. Check your local listings.
Yes.
Okay. But most bad guys, as we know, once the victim, that's you, once the victim produces a firearm, the bad guys love to typically retreat. Depending on which study you want to believe, it's about 92% of the time or higher. Okay. Sometimes they surrender, which gets really scary. Very rarely do they hang around for a fight.
Yeah.
Okay. Which means that let's set aside the hypothetical. Let's just go to the statistics for a moment. Statistically speaking, the second they see you produce a firearm, you have a gap of time where they will likely turn around and hightail it out of there. And look, if that happens, that's trust me, that is best case scenario for you.
Absolutely.
Let them.
Yeah.
Okay. That is best case scenario. Rounds down range is the last thing you ever want to have to do. But this is what the scenario is. This is what the statistics are. They see you get a gun, they're probably starting to retreat right then and there. Meaning that likely the statistical majority of the time, if you try to shoot them, probably the statistical majority of the time, you're looking at shooting them in the back, shooting them in a process of retreat, and the forensic evidence is going to tie that off against you. So I want people to get into that mind space, not to create a decision buffer that can get you killed, but simply you need to be in the mental space of understanding that there's a really good chance that my mere production of a firearm will result in this guy running away, which is amazing. That's exactly what we want. But we need to create an extra step of producing the firearm is not the same thing as I'm going for my firearm and I've made the decision I'm going to shoot no matter what.
Yeah.
Those are two different decisions. And if you fall into that trap, and if the bad guy did indeed retreat, that's where the good guy goes behind bars, and no one wants to see that.
The aftermath of what happens is always a consideration in your deadly force decision matrix. It just has to be. So